Hello and welcome to another video. I know it's been it had been a while, and now there's another one quite soon after. I thought I enjoyed doing that one, so let's just do another one. Here we are, we're back at Turin Airport this evening now. It's a day on from the previous flight, and we're ready to fly this Zibo 737-800 with Fly2, not to Leeds, as that flight only operates, I believe, once or twice a week on Fly2. So I had a look what's going from Turin today. It's a Monday, and there is a flight down to London Luton, so we're going to pick that one up, and should be a nice little flight down there. So again, I suppose let's get on with the route in question. So here it is. This is our route, our flight plan here on the Fly UK, done through SimBrief. We're using the Kutsev 1 X-ray departure out of Turin this evening. 175 passengers, looking for almost 7 tons of fuel and an estimated flight time of 1 hour and 42 minutes. And if we head over to, as the overview, here's the map. We're departing out towards the north, over Switzerland, France, and then descending down into London Luton. So we are today. Our flight number is UKV 2511. Skyways 2511. Again, flying offline, so no VATSIM or other air traffic or anything like that. And that's about it. We're going to be cruising at flight level 360, and yes, that's kind of about it really. In terms of the departure itself, actually, before we get into that, let's set up the plane. So the ground power is already on. I just disconnected the actual nav over, so the noise was in the background for the start, and the battery on, and the plane come to life. So everything, the IRSs should be pretty much aligned. I just need to put the I've still haven't updated the navigation database. I did do it, but it didn't work for some reason, so I need to do it again at some point. But just get the GPS coordinates in there, and we are in Lima India Mike Foxtrot, which is Turin. And we put a company route in via SimBrief, so all we need to do is request the flight plan, and that should come out. In the meantime as well, get the payload sorted as well. If we go over to airside services and then load the OFP and activate it, we can actually, I need to again quickly change a few settings.
Disconnected and starting refueling.
Because it loaded.
Flight deck refueling terminated as requested.
Again, the jetway as well. The Zibo has its own control of the jetway, which I don't really like. So we'll just change a couple of settings around that I like to have. They don't save for some reason. I need to find a way of saving them. Because we had no call-outs on yesterday's flight either. That surprised me, to say the least. Wasn't expecting that. So that's now done. And the other one is actually here in fuel weight and balance. 189 seats, not 160. This is a leisure holiday airline, of course, so no first class of any kind really on board Fly2. So now I can load the OFP and activate it, because we've got the correct number of passengers. We're not leaving anybody behind. So
Ground flight deck hose disconnected and
we'll let that
refueling.
just get on with it. The route uplink is finished, so we'll go ahead and load our route for today. As you can see there, that's in, and just go ahead and, well, quickly you need to remove, again, it puts like the alternate route at the end, which it isn't supposed to do. Our first waypoint today is Kukev, so we can find that and put that at the beginning of the route. Although I actually can't find that, so who knows what's happened. Go on to SimBrief and have a quick look. Bolus might be the first one. Yep, that's the first one that's in there. So we'll put that in, and then the arrival, again, the last waypoint on our routing is Undug. So I don't like that it puts the arrival and departure in, which isn't ideal, as it doesn't have all the restrictions and everything applied. So it's runway 36, it's a Cook 71 X-ray departure out of Turin, and the arrival, I'll have a look now, is the Undug 1 November arrival in Luton. Got some interesting wind currently down in Luton, so a little bit of a strong crosswind, so we'll see. Might make for a bit of a fun landing by the time we get down there, if that weather is still hanging around. It's going to be the ILS runway 25 down in Luton with the Zagzo 1 Tango transition, it looks like. Or we can just take it direct, actually. I think we'll probably take it direct. Yeah, we can take it direct. It's more for if there's no control and we need these other planes in the area. Where is the arrival? There it is. Activate that. And now we go through the performance. Just go ahead. Actually, we can't put the zero fuel weight in until we've got that. The reserves on today's flight are 1.9 reserve fuel. Cost index is 25 here at Fly2, and flight level 350 is 360 is our cruise level. So, and in the cruise winds finally we've got our 23158, like there, and our height of deviation is +5, something like that. So there we are. We'll do the takeoff performance calculations a little bit later on. For now, we'll just get some lights on in the cockpit as well. Obviously, a dark flight this evening, so makes for a few little bit of different visuals. It's quite nice to have a bit of a mix. Get the seatbelt signs on as well. Go up here and just make sure everything is as it should be for now, which it is. Cruising at 360 and get the logo light on since it's dark outside, and if the trim light can come on. Everything else will wait until a bit later on to deal with. So we can now brief the departure, I suppose. So this is the arrival. Here's the departure. It's well, that's the first of all starting off here, Turin Airport, stand 111 where we left off the last video. We're going to push back, facing south, taxi down. We're going to use the full length of the runway, I think we may as well. It's not a particularly long taxi from Gulf, and then depart, and then it's going to be 2 miles, and then after 2 miles of flying, we'll take a right turn at Mike Foxtrot 702, and then it's going to be quite a steep, slow,
flight deck fuel is all loaded up.
slow
and you are
speed,
good to go.
steep climb up, so we can get over those mountains here. So above 5,000, 6,000, flight level 100, and then as we get up to Cook Cave, we've got to be above flight level 200 by that point. Avoid some of these mountains with a peak of 13,600 feet. So that's the departure. Not too much to know other than that we just need to keep the speed fairly low on the initial climb out. In terms of the weather, this is the weather here. We've got 7 degrees, overcast 1,200 feet, so a little bit of low cloud. The QNH is 1007, so just go ahead and put that in there as well. Now we just need to wait for the passengers to load on board and the IRSs to sort themselves out. Actually, we can do the takeoff performance calculations now as well. So let's do that now. Here's SimBrief. It comes lovely with a takeoff performance calculator now. It's very nice. It's got all the wind in there, everything that we need. It's going to be a flaps 5 degrees departure, no D-rate, but a temperature of 50 degrees selected on the engines, and then V1 speed of 146. We'll rotate the aircraft at 147 knots, and then V2 is 153. Bleeds are going to be on, but the anti-ice is off. It's not quite cold enough here to require the anti-ice on today's flight. So that was, I believe, flex of 50. Well, I say flexed, I've been flying too many Airbuses. And flaps 5 degrees, and need to check again. 146, 4753, 146, 147, and 153. The suggested speeds from the aircraft are wrong at the moment because they've got the out-of-date weight in there at the moment. Obviously, passengers are still boarding currently. And the IRSs have just aligned, so we can have a quick look at how our route is going out of Turin. That doesn't... Sorry, have I looked at the wrong departure here? I think I've looked at the wrong departure. I was discussing the 1 Zulu. We're actually on the... We're on the 1 X-ray. So straight out, and then it's a right turn rather than a left turn. Again, still the fairly slow climb out and flight level 200 by Kukev, just a slight different departure. Yeah, the 1 Zulu's only by ATC, so that's the reasoning for that one. All looks good though, the departure, all of it seems to be pretty much... It's doing a bit of a weird sort of loop, a bit wider than it probably should be, but I suppose we can always manually fly the aircraft at that point. And then from Kukev, just joining up with the rest of our route there. And then the arrival itself into Luton's a little bit all over the place. It tends to be because of, Stansted, Luton, Heathrow, all the airspace is so congested that we take quite a strange routing around everywhere. So I think what we'll do, we'll probably go... again, we know that there's not going to be any ATC or anything like that, and we can obviously no other air traffic, so we're not getting in the way of anybody by shortening. Again, in the real world, we'd have probably directions to the final approach course. It's just that we can't have that with no ATC. So there we are. That's the arrival I think we'll take in, just a slightly shortened version. We're still going to be sitting at flight level 150 for a little bit after we reach it, but not too long. So technically we could shorten it down a little bit more, but I think that gets us on a good approach, coming from the right direction as well as the procedure intends. So that's good. We'll go RTO on the order brakes, and then I suppose we'll pick this up when we're ready to push back. Right, so there we are. The passengers are pretty much on board, and there you go. That was the door just shutting there. So, and also I forgot to mention, I've turned up the volume on the recording for X-Plane. I noticed it was very quiet in the last video, so sorry about that, but hopefully that is all fixed now. The yaw damper can come on because when the IRSs are aligned. The APU, I fired that up, that's ready to go. Get the APU bleed on for engine start, and that's about it. We're all good. So the beacon light can come on, and the jet bridge has gone back, and we'll go ahead and set up.
Ground to cockpit,
Pushback.
please show me where you want to go.
So we're using better pushback. Another
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
12. Very, very helpful. Go L off on the transponder. Everything is all good there. The V-speed, obviously, slight disagreement between SimBrief and the aircraft, but SimBrief does acknowledge that the speeds have been increased to improve climb performance, which obviously, given the mountains involved, is quite a good idea. So I think we'll take SimBrief's speeds. The trim needs to be set to 5 degrees. Oh, actually, check the CG. 5.5. So we'll set that now, actually. Yeah, 5.5. And that's about it, really. We were due off at 10 to 9, so we're pretty much bang on time.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
No fuel in the centre tank, so we don't need any of those. It's not quite a long enough flight. We've got a very low amount of reserve fuel, actually, so that's why there's a little bit less fuel than the flight down from Leeds yesterday. I'll just get a little bit of light on the yoke there so we can see the checklist. And 153 then plus 5 knots, just so that's our set speed. Just waiting for the pushback tractor as it's lifting us up, and then we can start getting our way out of here. Everything is all set as it should be.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
And parking brakes released, and we'll start the block timer for the flight.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
And back we go, engine number 2 into the ground position. Hopefully these engines will actually sound of something in this recording now. They were a little bit quiet on the previous one, I know. And back we go with Fly UK service 2511 to London Luton. 26%, introduce fuel, a little bit late actually. It's a good start on engine number 2, put it into the continuous position, and we'll do the same for engine number 1.
Please be sure your seat back, tray table are off, and carry on baggage.
Good, we've got the safety demonstration playing there.
At any time. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying smoke detectors in the lavatories may result in...
And there's 20%, we'll introduce fuel. Like having all these on these course indicators on 0 until we land, so just changing that quickly. There we are, good start on engine number 1. Put that into the continuous position and go on to engine power, which means we can now turn off the APU, engine bleeds on, packs on, and probe heats can come on as well. And that is pretty much it. That's a good start on the engines. So we can now do a quick flight control check. We'll do full right, full left, up, down, neutral, full left, full right on the rudder, all good. And then the spoilers, full up, and then back to neutral. So, and then we'll set flaps 5 degrees for departure, and that is it. We are all ready.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Parking brake set. We're ready to get this 737
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
into the skies. So we'll do the first part of the before takeoff checklist. We've got the flaps set 5 degrees, green light. Stabiliser trim is set to 5.5. I've done the takeoff briefing and the cabin is ready. And these last few steps we'll do just before getting onto the runway. We'll allow the pushback tractor to disconnect and they can get on their way. By the way, if you are enjoying the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, all of them. Why not? So I'm not sure how many of these videos there'll be, but I fancy making one yesterday. And
Tow is disconnected and bypass and has been removed. Hand signal will be on the right. We'll see you next time and have a great flight.
And they are off goes the pushback tractor, so just wait for their thumbs up and we can go. There it is. Taxi light can come on and let's get this plane rolling. I do like the sounds on this aircraft. They're very, again, this aircraft again is completely free. It's basically an adaptation of the standard X-plane, well, back in X-plane 11, 737. It's come a long way since then. And now there is, of course, the Laminar A330 here in X-plane 12 as well. That one is also a very good aircraft actually for one that comes with the flight sim without any external modding. It's still pretty decent. It needs a little bit of work, but it's pretty good. And remember, yeah, full length takeoff, we may as well use it given the quick climb out that we need. Coming up to Golf here, going up to quite a fast speed, so we'll just ease off a little bit. Here we are, right, transponder, that's going to go into the TARA, plane lights on, and strobe lights on as well. And the wing light just gives the cabin crew the sign to be seated for landing.
Okay,
so
the cabin is secured.
landing,
Have a good
takeoff.
flight.
Not landing just yet. Again, after flying the A330 so much, this plane feels so much smaller, which of course it is. Which is why I've overshot that. There we are. So we'll go 40%. Start the clock. And take off power. There we are. If that wants to set. It's always difficult with the throttles, trying to get them into the proper position. Airspeed's live. That sound is doing that thing again where it's cutting out.
80 knots.
It's weird that it did that when we landed as well in the video. I don't know why. It's all good now though. There's V1.
V1, rotate. Positive rate.
There we are. Gear up. Throttle's just being a little bit glitchy again. I don't know what to do about that really.
400.
There we are. They seem to be working again now though, so. Gear up and into the lock position, or brakes can go off. And then we'll hand fly it for a little bit. Out of Turin. Into the darkness. Can't see a thing. Brilliant. And coming up to where we need to make that right turn. There it is. And we're now free to go beyond 200 knots as well if we want. There's flaps 1 speed, so we'll set that. Trim the aircraft nicely. There's 210 knots, flaps coming up. And we're limited to 230 knots initially, just so we can get enough altitude up, and then we can go all the way up to 250. Ease off, I mean, so we're going a little bit, losing a little bit of airspeed there. Passing 6,000, that's the transition altitude. We're going to go standard altimeter pressure. And border pilot can go in. Startup switches, coming back to the off position and taxi light off. And that is pretty much that. The audio is still cutting out every now and again. I'm not sure what's causing that one. I've never come across that before, so I'm not sure whether it's something to do with maybe running the recording software at the same time as X-Plane. It's a little bit weird. Oh yeah, that sort of weird wide turn that it had seems to have been fixed now. Going 230 knots until 0, and then we're allowed to do to check the chart, actually making sure that it's not 230 knots during the turn, rather it's 230. No, it's 230 just straight up, so not during the turn, we can speed up once we pass that. Although I think I'll take manual control of the speed, because we'll try and keep it under 250 at least until we've done that turn. Make sure the aircraft doesn't try to accelerate any further. We're kind of flight over 100 now, so we're easily above the altitude requirements for this departure, so that's good. There's 10,000. There's always a little weather changeover, because it swaps from active sky weather to X-plane weather. Just found that gets rid of some of the bugs in the active sky weather at high altitude. But it does mean around 10,000 feet that we get that weird jolt where it switches between weathers. So the landing lights, those are off. And that's about it now. The plane, well, can't accelerate just yet. So we'll continue our fairly steep climb for now. We'll just set the heading round. Again, it's always good practice in the 737 to have the heading kind of follow where we're going. So if an air-traffic control was to give us a direction to follow, for example, we'd be able to do it quite easily, although of course no VATs in today. I did check on Navigraph. It doesn't seem like either Turin or Luton are currently being covered on VATs in anyway, but probably would have had some on route coverage. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on the weather down in Luton. At the moment it is a 14 knot crosswind gusting 24 knots to the runway, so that'll be fun if it's still like that when we get down there. Right, we've passed the Cirlos, we can go 250 knots now. Just allow the plane to accelerate a little bit. Take manual control of the vertical speed as well, just allow the plane to actually accelerate. Yeah, the auto throttles are not glitching out now, so that's good. Just a bit of a weird issue on departure there, clearly. Right, we've hit 250 knots, so we'll just... we'll have to climb a little bit more now, a little bit faster pace. And once we're done with this turnout, we can switch off the seatbelt signs, and I'll resume the recording during the cruise. And I suppose we'll get some nice wing views during the cruise, but it actually will just be dark. So, I quite like it. I like doing some flights in the dark. You get a bit different, different kind of approaches and departures and scenery in general. It makes for something a bit different, I think. It's good to have a bit of a mix. Oh, we're nearly done with that right turn. Obviously, quite an extensive right turn. But obviously needed, if we'd gone straight out and just turned left, then we wouldn't have been able to gain enough altitude before hitting the Alps. So, right, up to 80 nautical mile range on there, just so we can see a little bit more of our upcoming route. I'm going to go into VNAV mode now, let the plane handle itself. And we're pretty much done with the complicated, it's pretty much done with the complicated turns now, so it can speed up. Well, it doesn't seem to actually be doing that at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, it's doing it now. It's a little bit slow to react sometimes. It seems like it's quite a display. Right, just so we can kind of ease off the turn a little bit, I'll go direct there. We're obviously easily above the... so we have slightly overshot the turn, I think. Again, it's kind of to be expected. The plane is failing to gain speed a little bit, so I don't know if... Well, it seems like finally now it is levelling off and letting the aircraft gain a bit of speed, so once we're level, which is not quite yet. Now, go ahead and turn off seatbelt signs and see you in the cruise. We are just reached our cruising level today of flight level 360. We'll be up here for around about 40 minutes before dropping down back into, towards London Luton, so not too long actually. It's a little bit of an earlier descent, I think, because of the altitude restrictions down in Luton, so let's have a couple of shots of the cruise. So here we are, we're approaching the top of descent for our descent into London Luton. Now it's still half an hour to go, so in terms of the actual flight, because we need to descend a little bit early so we can be down at flight level 200 for the Mayfield VOR. Again, very congested airspace around London, Gatwick, Heathrow, Stansted, so because of that we have to deal with these altitude restrictions. So in terms of the arrival itself, here it is. So we're on the Undug 1 November arrival from Undug into Mayfield. There we are, flight level 200 as we pass over Gatwick. Setting down to flight level 150 at Ozot, just short of Brooklands Park VOR. That's used as a arrival point into Heathrow, which is, we'll just pass over that as well. So, and then from there we're going to make the descent down shortly after Brooklands Park through Illock and Oxdove, and we're going to make the left turn there, sort of vectoring ourselves round onto the approach just to save a few miles once we've passed over all the busy airspace of, well, there's no planes obviously, we're not on that in, but if there was, all the busy airspace of Stansted, Heathrow and Gatwick. Once we're onto the ILS then, it's going to be 3,000 feet on the glide slope, about 11 miles out from the airfield, and then we'll descend down. The frequency is 109.15, and the course we need to set here is 254, so we'll just do that quickly. And the minimums on the approach is going to be 708 feet, so let's just do all that now, 708 and 109.15 down there. So that's all of that done, and then obviously once we land then it's going to be all brakes, maybe even all brakes 3 actually, looking at it's quite a short runway, so all brakes 3 I think, and then we'll vacate right probably on Bravo, and then we've got assigned stands here at Fly UK at Luton, stands, any stand from 6 to 9, so I think we'll take stand 7, just checking where that is, and all the way down there, and then park somewhere around. So that is the plan. Just have a quick check of the weather down in Luton. Currently 190, 12 knots. The gusting winds have gone away, so hopefully not quite as exciting approach as it may have looked initially when we were just set our altitude down to start with. A little bit of light rain, broken clouds, 3,000 feet, 6 degrees. The QNH is 980, so that's all fine. Set 980 in here as well, and make sure the transition level, and I believe is 30 apparently. Let's have a quick look at that. It's quite low. Yeah, so it's going to be 7,500, that's like that. And to get the descent winds as well, the Zevo is able to grab those from SimBrief, and it's going to be 3 on water brakes. Everything else is pretty much set up and ready to go. Go ahead and load those in. Obviously, again, weirdness, like stuck at this altitude for a little bit. It seems we're actually climbing even though we're descending. I don't know. It seems to be a bit of a weird glitch with the weather in X-Plane. But so we'll set this down to flight level 200, which is our first descent point, and then I'll pick up the recording when we're a little bit closer to our arrival to Luton. Well, here we are, just passing flight level 110 here, just 7 miles from the point where we're going to start vectoring ourselves round for the arrival. So there's 10,000, coming up to 10,000 feet, so line lights can come on now, and I'm going to taxi light on already as well. And yeah, we've got about just over 10 minutes left to run. I can still see the ground, even though it's meant to be cloudy. I mean, maybe the weather will kind of, well, I think we might still want to aim to play the weather at the moment, and then it'll go over to active sky weather, which should be more accurate, but who knows. Right, we're going to take heading select now, and start vectoring ourselves towards the ILS. And I'm going to slow down to 240 knots just to allow for that turn to be a little bit sharper, and then we'll go on vertical speed as well. We'll kind of just manage it manually from here, really, rather than anything else. We've set the landing altitude up here, 527 feet I think it is, something like that, so 550. And then approach briefing's been done, landing speed and all that kind of stuff is set and ready. So making that left turn round now, obviously a little bit sharper than what the plane is actually calculating it, and that's why I went sort of vector rather than rely on that. And seatbelt signs are already on, everyone's all should all be ready for landing again. Yeah, we shouldn't really be able to see the ground. It's looking at the weather down in Luton, we've got broken cloud and rain, so whether we will actually get that or not, I suppose we will wait and see. It looks like a course of about 220 on the heading seems to be pretty much good for what we want. We'll just manage the vertical speed to make sure we can get to make sure that we can get to where we want to be around about 3,000 feet at the right moment, which seems like about 1,400 feet per minute should be able to achieve that, so that's good. We'll activate the ILS frequency now, 109.15. Looking for ILJ, that's the identifier of the ILS, and the go-around altitude 3,000 feet, so that's what we'll set. Actually, it's already set for it's the same as the glide slope intercept altitude as well, so all good. Things will go continuous now as we're kind of heading on towards the approach part now. I can't see the ground anymore. Oh, actually, I can see the ground there, but maybe the clouds are just starting. Right, we're below flight level at like 7.5 now, so we can go on to the local QNH here in Luton of 980. So it's quite the drop, about 1,000 feet lower than the standard pressure. So quite low pressure here in Luton this evening. Does mean we have to descend at a little bit of a slower rate than first plan, so we'll just adjust that a little bit. We'll go 1,000 feet per minute. That's good anyway. It'll allow us to slow down a little bit more. We're on about a 10-mile final from Fitney, which is where we're intercepting the approach from. So that should be all good. Again, I mean, I don't know. First comment down below. What do you think? Daytime flights, nighttime flights. I know that there's not much scenery, but it does create a little bit interesting. And then obviously when we come through the clouds, see the runway light up, and it's a little bit of a different kind of different set of visuals. It's quite interesting. But I suppose that's why it's good to do a bit of a mix of them. The aircraft's trimming away there. 7.5 miles to Fitney. We've got a very, very strong wind. Just noticed that, 45 knots. Obviously, the gusting winds that were over Luton earlier have now gone away. So hopefully, we'll have a little bit less of that when we actually get down to taking control of the plane. But it's slowing us down quite considerably. Good 10 nautical mile range on there, just so we can see everything again. It's supposed to be cloudy and rainy, but this is actually pretty clear. In fact, we can even see the airfield over there just ahead. So I'm not sure that the weather forecast is a little bit off. It should be depicted in the sim accurately, but I guess for whatever reason today that's not happening. The wind speed is accurate though. Looking at the higher level wind speeds in active sky at the moment. So who knows?
1,000 to go.
I mean, according to active sky, it's cloudy right now. I've just checked. So who knows? Right, we're below the glide slope now. We've intercepted it. Well, not intercepted it. It's kind of appeared on our. You can see it on our screen. So just ease off. It's time to slow down anyway to about 200 knots for landing now. I mean, the slowdown is not quite as important at this stage just because of the massive headwind. We're slowing down considerably more than we would expect to, really. We'll go 215 on the heading just so we can be a little bit closer to our arrival path. So we're not quite getting the cloud that we expected, but still Still very much the wind that was expected. Might be a slightly bumpy ride for the passengers there on the way back from their holiday in Tenerife. Tenerife? What am I about? Turin. Right turn round to 230 now, and we'll on the approach just so we can get ready to intercept the localizer there. 10 miles we can reduce down to 180 knots. We'll go flaps 5 degrees just to help with that. We shouldn't need the speed brakes now, so we'll go ahead and arm those. It's in the landing checklist. It starts with just R into continuous, recall checked. Speed brake is armed. The landing gear we'll put down at a later stage. The auto brake is set, and the landing lights are set as well. So we've captured the localizer there. We're just going onto it. Obviously, right now we're at a very strange angle, but that is more because of the 38 knot crosswind. If we were having to land in this would be interesting to say the least. But it should die down before we actually get all the way to the airfield. Localizer is now fully captured. We're going to go down to 160 knots. And flaps 10, actually minimum speed for flaps 10 at the moment is 168 knots. That's the highest degree of flaps we can apply without extending the gear. So glide slope is captured now as well. Lovely. And then as we get lower, we should expect to see. Now here's that rain. So there's no clouds, but we've got rain. So I'm not quite sure how that works, but there we are. We've managed to get the rain without the clouds. That's slightly strange. It makes for a nice, impressive kind of visual effect, though. The lighting and the rain, everything. It's really quite impressive. Right, 6 miles to go. We'll go gear down and 160 knots. Just help the slow down a little bit more. Usually in the UK you do 160 knots until 4 DME, so we'll go down then to 150 once we've passed that point. We'll go flaps 15 just for the lower speed. The rain seems like it is still raining, and the wind is starting to die down now. It's just the 30 knots. Although expecting something close to the region of about 12. Finally, right, final approach speed and flaps 30 degrees. Yeah, the rain's quite on and off. I'll leave the wipers on though, just in case it comes back during the landing, when we can't actually then go and turn them on. Well, there you go. The wind is starting to die down now, so I think we can probably take control of the aircraft now. Interesting to say the least.
Thousand feet, stabilized, Mr. Perch, altitude set.
Yeah, the callouts are all working now after I turned them on earlier on, so that's good. There you go, the wind has died down a little bit now, it's a little bit less. And there's the rain again. This is weird. We've got this like mysterious rain. Just keeps appearing and disappearing with no clouds in sight. And it's back again, right.
Approaching minimum.
A little bit low on the speed, we're alright. Sudden slight change, it is a variable wind. So, how to manage that? Continue.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
There we are, we're down. Just. That was an interesting one, wasn't it? First green. Peace out. 70, stow the reversers, and manual braking, and should just get off here for this taxiway. There we are. Stop the clock there, 1 hour 37 minutes. And welcome everybody to London Luton. Yeah, that was an interesting one. The kind of sudden change of wind direction there at the last moment. But I think it was okay. I have to look. It'd be an interesting replay, that one. That might make a short on the channel. Right. There we are. Yes, once again, welcome down to a rather windy and rainy London Luton. Again, no landing rate kind of plug-in I'm using, so I don't actually know how smooth that landing was. I think it wasn't too bad. I'm expecting stand 7, so we'll just select that so we get the marshaller. Just a quick check of whether they use the docking guidance here at Luton. I'm not sure. Again, sometimes it's covered on these charts, but also sometimes it isn't. Can't see it anywhere. Oh, I think under park information it's marshaller's instructions, so I think we'll go with having marshallers. Doesn't seem to be raining anymore, so there we are. And APU on. I mean, at this point we could do a single engine taxi, except those don't really seem to work in X-Plane with the physics. I'm not entirely sure why. But, and the probe heats can come off now as well. Just making a left here all the way around on Bravo and just following Bravo round until we see stand 7 on the right. I don't fly into Luton very much in the sim actually, it's been quite a while I think. Again, all default scenery, no kind of scenery add-ons or anything like that. So we're starting here at stand 1, so we'll go all the way around until we see stand 7, and then right turn onto the stand. Should see the marshaller at some point as well, because I've pre-selected the stand, so rather than it trying to guess what stand we're going to. Here's stand 5. I mean, looking at how close the building is, the marshaller might actually be inside the building. We can bring the marshaller forward a little bit. Yeah, here's stand 7 and no marshaller at the moment. Taxi light off so we don't blind said marshaller. Try and bring the there we are, I've moved them closer, now we can see them. Nice slow approach to the gate. Parking brake set, and engines can come off. And there we are, London Luton. Stop the clock there, 1 hour 48 minutes gate to gate. The N1's below 10%, so beacon light can come off. And here we are. Go ahead and connect the ground power and the APU, and then the fuel pumps with it off, and just get everything into the turnaround state. Seatbelt signs off, transponder off, and there we are. That is London Luton. Let's go ahead and get the ground handling set up. Didn't actually use the ground handling down in Turin, so it just needs to set up quickly. Get the stairs connected to the aircraft, and also turn the lights back there on for the passengers so they can see while they disembark. Well, there we are. Just try and find a nice little bit. Just turn down the volume on the game. That ground power unit is so loud. There we are. That is London Luton. That was a nice little flight from Turin down to London Luton this evening, with a nice little interesting approach into London Luton there with the rain and wind. There we are. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.